Hey everyone, Sergio here with the Rideshare Guide. What do we say on Show Me the Money Club? Work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, which I have been for the past year and a half, you may be working a lot harder than you need to. Let's change that. Download the app, link your account where you can manage your income, track your expenses, as well as your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more money, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download the Solo app today. Begin to work smarter, not harder. Link is in the description. Let's get back to it.
Let's talk about the service fee guarantee. So, yes, just the other day, April 16th, actually late last week, announcement was made. Uber updates, or not, Lyft updates. Lyft fee is now capped every month. So it's not the 70/30 anymore. It's called the Lyft fee cap. So yeah, basically, you could check out my video earlier. I kind of talked about what this is. So they're kind of making things a little bit more transparent when it comes to the fees of where they are going, what they are. So external fees, insurance, taxes, and government fees, and then credit card fees and Lyft service fee and all this stuff is going in the Lyft fee, and it's going to be capped at 30%. So pretty interesting there. You got anything more to say before we go into the gotcha?
Yeah, we're definitely. I got a couple of minutes on this one. So, folks, we always said Lyft guarantee when they first brought it out a couple of years ago, the 70/30 split after external expenses was always hocus pocus. I said that from the first week on. The company didn't like it, and it doesn't matter. It is hocus pocus because the external fee line item and Lyft service fee line item was always interchangeable and changeable after the trip ended. In fact, we've done it. We've done many segments about this. Let's not get into it. This, however, was so cleverly done.
Yep. But, well, let's go before we got the gotcha. Before the gotcha.
No, before the gotcha. Hold on one second. So the 30% is a cap, meaning Lyft cannot take more than 30%. And Lyft says, just like Uber, Chris,
that
their average take rate is like 14% anyway.
Yep. The 30% cap is a ceiling, 30%. Not a target. On average, our fee is around 14%, and we expect that to remain true. While several factors like demand or ride type can affect the Lyft fee per ride, you'll automatically be made whole when the month ends. So that's the big switch.
That's the first gotcha.
The switcheroo is that they're going from week to month. And like I said, I talked about that when it comes to trying to track that. So you could give May 1st, scrolling around, you give 25 Lyft rides, let's say. And you know what? You got to track that now through the entire month to see, are they finagling those numbers at all when it comes to Lyft service fee versus Lyft external expenses, again, to see if they're switching them back and forth. So it's longer, but then they're talking about how it's a month because did you put it into this or no?
Yeah. Well, I mean the Q&A, you mean?
No, there's
two more screenshots on this, and it's in there. It says like, why are we going to a month? It's kind of
yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. Is it in the next slide?
Yeah, next slide. Yeah.
You likely won't see major. Lyft should be everything else.
What hasn't changed? We don't control insurance. No. Blah 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 blah.
So, yeah. Well, they said why the month, and the month is because things fluctuate from week to week. Things fluctuate. So instead of just doing the week, we're going to go to the month. Well, I brought up the thing that you could have. Week 1, you could be making, or Lyft could have made 60% on you. Yep. But then week 2, you got a bonus, and that dropped it down to 20%. Week 3, they only took 20%. Then week 4, they average it out. Hey, they can finagle those numbers. So now you're at that 30%, maybe a little less or so, but that's how it works. So now they have a whole month to extrapolate from you, and could change these things around. and finagle this. And we know AI is damn good that it can do so many calculations very, very quickly. And of course, they do several calculations in the instant that it takes for the rider to open up the app and begin ordering the ride. It's already calculating everything right there, and it's actually offering the ride. We've talked about that here on Show Me the Money Club, but we've also talked about, or Joe did a video on it where he was looking and pricing a trip out just to see where the cars were, and then all of a sudden the driver app said, "Hey, we got a ride for you," and it was the ride that he was trying to order, to fake order to see what was going on. So, they're doing all of this in a very short instance. We've seen how they can finagle numbers and all this stuff. So yeah, big gotcha there. That's the first gotcha. Are you ready for the next gotcha? This is
let me talk 30 seconds on the first gotcha.
Okay. Go ahead.
Here's the deal. In this day and age where gas prices are going through the roof, have gone through the roof, right? And a lot of drivers depend on this cash flow on a weekly basis. In fact, I went back to Lyft because they had sent me this in the morning. So this all came back to me with an article I wrote this month. It was one of the more popular articles, 10 things Uber and Lyft can do to regain driver trust. And one of them was transparency. And then they proudly sent me this saying, "Oh, look, see, this is what your number 3. And we're transparently, we're capping Lyft stuff at 30%. So I read it again. A lot of drivers depended on that top off at the end of the week. And there was one comment by our Jeff, who does content for us, says, "It looks like now, instead of giving him an interest-free loan for a week, we're going to give interest-free loan for a month." But as Chris said, Algo is going to make sure it stays right at 30%. And Lyft says it may never reach 30% because our average is 14, so it most likely is going to be less than 30%. I'm not buying it. I think this is actually going to help Lyft's bottom line.
You're going into the next gotcha. Now,
am I going?
I got to preface this because I made the video the other day, and I read the article. Go check out the article. It's quite long. There's a lot of FAQ. I talked about that in that video that I posted earlier. And yeah, there's a ton of things. I read this, and Lyft did something so sneaky and so if you don't realize it, and if you didn't realize it yet, I got a world for you coming right now. And I, we were talking on the phone earlier today. I called you up and I said, Lyft did the sneakiest fucking thing they could possibly do when it came to this article. They put out this article, but here's the thing. Here's the kicker. They did not specify how they take out their 30%. You alluded to it just a minute ago, after expenses. No. Now, if you go, and I had to read the article again and again, just to see if they do say, they do way at the bottom near the end in the FAQ. They say something like the 70-30 or the Lyft fee cap. And they say Lyft's fee is capped at 30% for the total passenger payment. So what that means is they are doing it before the 30% now, before external expenses. So this was something that we turned into Matt's Corner as well, because Matt, congrats, you saw this, because this was on the driver app when it came to it. So it says introducing the Lyft fee cap. So they say, kind of went through it, learn more, takes you to that blog post. Here's what's changing. We're capping the Lyft fee at 30% of the passenger payment before external fees. If the total Lyft fee from all rides is more than 30% at the end of the month, you'll get paid on earnings. You'll get paid in an earnings adjustment. So there you go. That is the massive gotcha, because in the article, if you're just reading it as is, you're expecting it to be the 70-30, and nothing's really changing when it comes to calculations. But it's the order of operations that depends on so much. So let's look at what Matt said.
Before we go into the specific examples, folks, you must understand the way this is written is so clever. I did not catch it.
Yeah, I didn't catch this until after
I did not catch it. So the deal that we had until May 1, which this is going to kick in May 1, by the way, First of all, you would have, if you read this article, you would have only thought, okay, we're going from a weekly top off to a monthly top off. That's the only thing I figured initially.
That's what the article looks like. That's what it sounds like. They did a fantastic job at masking that. So you want to talk about transparency? That is absolutely not transparent.
One last thing about this. The deal before May 1 is 70-30 split after external expenses. Now it's a 30% cap on all the revenue, rider revenue that's coming in right off the top before any external expenses, this and that happens. That is the biggest change that I missed, and I'm admitting I missed, but then we have clever people like Matt who didn't miss, except that the part in the app that you guys will see starts with that first sentence. We're capping the Lyft fee at 30% of passenger payments. Nowhere, except like Chris said, all the way to the bottom last sentence of the Q&A, which most drivers will not go to Q&A. Nowhere in the body of the article said anything about that. All they said was, it's more transparent, it's 30%, it's 30%.
Yep.
Now we know. And now here's the math, and Chris will tell you guys about the math.
Yeah. So we were going through it, but Matt put it out perfect. So we're going to use Matt's. So it says currently it works like this. Customer paid, let's just say this is what it is currently and until May 1st. Customer paid $20 for a ride. Lyft's external expenses is $4. These are hypothetical numbers, but the Lyft max fee during this would be $4.80, which is 30% of the remaining 16. 20 minus 4 is 16. 30% of that is $4.80. Driver pay would equal $11.20. So that's what the driver would be paid for that ride. Now, Lyft's max fee is $6 because they're taking 30% of the 20, not after expenses or external expenses, but of the total fee right there. So Lyft's max fee is $6. Lyft's external fee would still remain $4. So the driver pay would be $10 or 10.7% cut, and the driver share would be 50% of the fare.
Yep, let's do the big round number one, because that's, I think a lot of people will get the one with the big round number. So it's easy to do it with 100.
So when it comes down to the 100, let's say customer paid $100, Lyft's external expenses is 15. Again, hypothetical numbers. Lyft's max fee under the current threshold of 70-30 before they make the change would be $25.50, 30% of the remaining 85. Again, 100 minus 15, $85. 30% of that is $25.50. The driver pay under that 70-30 guarantee would be $59.50.
Yep.
So, okay, that sounds where it's at. Now, under the new method, the customer paid that $100. Well, Lyft's max fee is now 30%, which is $30. So that's the max they could take on it. Those Lyft external fees are still going to be $15 for that ride. So you still got that. So you subtract all that out, the driver pay $55, 7.5% pay cut.
Yep.
So this is, and they, let me tell you, go read the article. Trust me, go read it. It's long. It's a lot of crap. Your informational overload before you actually catch it. And like I said, the only reason why I was able to look at it is because Matt posted that introducing Lyft fee cap that was on the driver app. It was not in the article. If you read the article, it makes it sound and it makes it seem like it is exactly the same where it would be after the expenses, but they changed the order of operations. And the order of operations absolutely matters because you're dealing with percentages. When you're dealing with percentages, that is why you can see that you are going to make potentially less because they're capping that 30% fee on the total fare, not after expenses.
Yep. And the only way that I can see this being beneficial to the driver would be if external expenses, and in the article it says they're working in every state to lower commercial insurance rates, you know, blah, blah, blah. And as you know, I asked Jeremy Bird when he was on, like, how's David Risher going to pass $200 million in savings to the driver? Maybe external expenses are going to go down from what we're currently are accustomed to. Even in that case, I don't think it's not going to be a pay cut. I think it's still going to be a pay cut, right? and because I cannot come up with the math of how this will be beneficial to the driver. More importantly, last but not least on this is that a lot of drivers, so Lyft kind of admits also in the article saying that, well, over a week, fluctuations could be very wild, it could be whatever. And then basically they're kind of saying that, well, over a month, algo is going to be a lot more efficient for Lyft to smooth out and keep us that 30% chunk of it. And it'll be more time. Well, Lyft, you have to think of it. Drivers are strapped for cash. That's why they're doing rideshare, not to get rich, number one. Number two, they need current cash flow with the gas prices and expenses going through the roof as they are. You're taking away that potential cash flow from the driver community, weekly cash flow, if they were below the 70-30 after external expenses threshold. This is very clever by Lyft. Except that it did not get by. They couldn't throw the fastball by us, my man. It didn't work out.
It got close. It got real close. We always say read
close.
the fine print, but there's no fine print that actually shows you until you get into like the driver app. But the blog article doesn't give you very much when it comes to that. But now when you look at it, it makes sense. Why are they saying it's not the 70-30 guarantee anymore? Because it's really not. It's 70, or it's the 70-30 guarantee, but then you got to worry about the expenses after the fact.
There's a question.
Just changing, just changing the order operations though completely changes how much Lyft could potentially make on that particular ride based on the cap. So that type of thing just means that if you were making a top-off payment or getting a top-off payment, you might not get that top-off payment anymore because
you're not going to get. I'm very
more of that, so they can actually claim more fee before they'd actually have to pay you out, as Matt had shown right here on those couple of.
I'm very sure Algo is going to do its job, and nobody's going to get a top-off at the end of 30 days or a month. To answer your question, MJ Smith Group. What's changing section implies external expenses are now part of the Lyft fee. Yeah, that 30% off the top of the revenue. It's going to be external expenses are going to be in there. So when they passed SB 371 and external expenses are going down because they're lowering the insurance rates in every state, pretty much they're going after it. So that's going to increase their take rate by just going 30% off the top, as opposed to, external expenses are going lower. That's why they're doing this. And I think this is going to help the overall take rate of Lyft. So,
yeah, well, why wouldn't it? I mean, you're able to claim more without having to give that guarantee. And like I say, I think the drivers that are getting like small top offs every week, you might not be getting top offs now because they're able to claim more. They're able to claim 30% of what the passenger paid before it even hits the external expense.
So this is going to kick in May 1. You guys will start, and in the app, there will be daily updates for the monthly top-off potential. So once you guys run a month of this, please send me screenshots. Let's see if any of you got top-offs and what it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, keep your screenshots. Let us know, and even for the ones that are tracking the rides already, when it comes to these service fees that are being switched around, let's see if that's been fixed at all, or if it's becoming more of a headache because they have a longer time to be able to change the numbers at the back end after the ride's been complete. So yeah, keep an eye on that stuff. Report to us. And we're going to compile everything, make sure. But yeah, quite a big gotcha there when it came to some of these changes. So
pretty smooth. So, but it didn't get by us. Two fastballs got by us, and 0-2, 2 strikes. The third one didn't happen. We caught it. So there you go.
So we want to let you know on that when it comes down to it, and we'll see. All right. Thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.